What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today I have something for you all that I'm super excited to be sharing. So first things first, I am on the test server, so thank you to Plarium for allowing me access to actually do this. Also, that's the only reason why I have this awesome Platinum Arena avatar. Hey, I'm gonna go ahead and use it since I have it over here. But either way, Plarium has buffed the Ice Golem. All right, I'm gonna get into exactly why. But a big reason why people don't farm the Ice Golem is because life, offense, and defense sets are useless, basically, especially anywhere past the early game. Crit rate set is never used anywhere past the early game. Resistance, honestly, isn't great. I mean, now that we have Retribution, I believe that's what it's called, or Righteous, whatever the new speed plus resistance set is, resistance isn't used as much, still sometimes used as offset piece. Retaliation, Reflex, Cursed, and Provoke. These were all pretty niche. Cursed being an absolutely terrible set. Retaliation being a set that I've actually used, especially on early mid-game-ish account takeovers for clan boss. Retaliation was actually really good. Reflex is actually a really good set for a lot of champions, especially in things like Hydra and some speed runs as well. Provoke is also a very solid set. So we have really one great set. Provoke is also pretty high up there, but you're not going to need a ton of it in my opinion. So Reflex, Provoke are both really good. Retaliation is solid, but it does fall off in my opinion. Cursed is garbage. Resistance, crit rate, defense, offense, life, while not all in the same tier, are really not used. But Plarium has actually buffed two sets pretty significantly in this dungeon specifically. Retaliation and Cursed now have some new effects. Let me go ahead and pull up the sheet with all the buffs and, well, all the buffs. There's no nerfs to any of these sets, thankfully. That'd be a little bit awkward, nerfing the already probably worst dungeon to farm, but that may be changing very soon. So here we go. First things first is Retaliation. So before the buff, Retaliation read 35% chance to counterattack when hit. Now, on first glance, when you see the after says 15% chance to counterattack when hit, you're thinking, wait, that's less, until you realize that it's not. Because before, it was a 4 set piece, okay? Now it's a 2 set piece. This means that you can run it alongside your Savage, which I don't know why you'd be running Savage, but maybe you're running Toxic. That's a much better option. So say you're running Toxic gear on one of your clan boss champions. Now, you can throw a 15% chance to counterattack from Retaliation on your champion who's wearing Toxic gear, so you're going to be getting even more of those counterattacks. If you have Revenge accessories as well, you're going to be counterattacking pretty often. You're basically going to be building a counterattack team without needing the counterattack buff, which is super, super cool. Being a 2-piece set is going to open this setup so many more possibilities than what it had before. I mean, I'm a huge fan of Revenge accessories. Retaliation set being a 2-piece, while it is a less of a chance of actually counterattacking, I think this is amazing. Now, it is going to do less damage when you counterattack, like 65% of your normal damage, but either way, this is a very solid change in my opinion. Going from 4-piece set to a 2-piece set, I love it. The next one is the Curse set. Now, this is actually a very cool, very interesting, and I'm looking forward to see how it actually plays out. So before, the Curse said 75% chance to place a 50% heal reduction debuff. This is useless on 99% of champions. More to Macabre being the one champion it may be beneficial on because he can place an irresistible block debuffs, I believe, if there's a heal reduction already applied. But either way, a useless set more or less. But now, well, once the buffs go live in game, the Curse set is going to be a 4-piece set still, but a 50% chance to place Hex Debuff for 2 turns. So a lot of you may not exactly know what Hex Debuff does, except for on some champions who have specific interactions with it. Let's go ahead and jump in here to the FAQ section. Debuffs, in case you guys didn't know you could do this, you can actually search some stuff in game, and it's usually up to date. Let's go ahead and scroll down and find Hex, all right? So Hex being able to be applied from any champion can make some big differences in things like Hydra, especially possibly for some dungeon runs, but Hydra is the main thing I'm thinking about. Champions under Hex debuffs take 2% of AoE damage inflicted to their allies and 10% of the single target damage inflicted to their allies. So you've probably seen things before where Mithrala is running in Hydra and Mithrala is doing a ton of damage. She comes out at the end with like crazy high amounts of damage, like almost with Husk and Royal Guard level damages. That's because her Hex, all the damage is being shared from those big Royal Guard hits, the big single target hits, all that damage is being attributed to Mithrala, which is great. I mean, the damage wouldn't be there unless she was in the team, but she's not the one actually doing the hit. It's the Hex that's making her damage look so much higher because all that damage is being shared. So Hex now, well, not requiring accuracy from that set because no sets require accuracy, but now having a 50% chance to place it for 2 turns, you have champions like, say, Krisk, for example. Maybe you don't have him in any special set. You could throw him in a 4-piece of Cursed. Maybe you have Mother Cybele. Maybe you want to use her in Cursed. Maybe you have a champion who sometimes you put them in Provoke, but you already have a Provoker. They have an AoE on their A1 ability, and now you bring this. The champion doesn't need anything specific as far as gear goes, so throw them in a Curse set, and this is a set that can bring you pretty big benefits in Hydra. I'm looking forward to this change. I'm going to have to start doing some more Ice Golem, honestly, which works out well because I am working on some duo content for Ice Golem non-hard. Either way, the next set that's getting changed is kind of questioning, okay? So we're done with the Ice Golem changes. I believe they're pretty significant for Ice Golem specifically. This is for Dragon. So before Avenging set, I was actually kind of a fan of it. It was more of a fun set to use. I couldn't really use it, I guess, like legit, but it was a fun set. Throw it on Skull Crown, have her Unkillable pop up, then she gets hit with counterattack in arena. She can solo teams. It's really cool. But before, it said 45% chance to counterattack when hit with a crit. That's cool. But now, it's going to be 45% chance to counterattack when receiving debuffs. This is questionable, but I don't think it's bad. I think in the end, it's going to be a lot better. Maybe not for PvP, but for things like Hydra. I mean, you throw this on, plus Retaliation, because you can have both of them now, you're going to be a counter-attacking machine. On the clan boss, if you're not running a team with block debuffs, you can do the same thing. Chance of counterattack when you receive debuffs. I mean, there's a lot more utilities now with the Avenging set than was before, but it's not going to be able to be as, I guess, niche, fun, unique build. But I do think in the end, this is going to be a much needed change for the Avenging set, and it's going to be awesome. Another great benefit to the Avenging set, and I'm hoping they keep this, is the fact that if you search up gear on this little FAQ section in the gear overview area, hopefully this video is not too long, but hopefully you guys are getting some good value from it. So let's go ahead and scroll down. I don't know why it's not working. Goodness, this is taking forever. Okay, so here we go. Avenging, 3, 2, 1, maybe? All right. Avenging, where are you? Here we go. Okay, so Avenging does not... Okay, however, unlike the Retaliation set, champions wearing Avenging set will only counterattack when hit with a critical hit. Now, this is the last part of that word. So with the Retaliation set, you actually have a paragraph little line down here that says when counterattacking, a champion's default skill will inflict 65% of its standard damage. Avenging set doesn't say that. So I'm hoping that even with the changes, it doesn't say that either. So then their default skills are going to hit just as hard as they did normally, right? So that's my idea. I'm hoping that it stays like that, but if not, it's still going to be very nice, especially when you're applying debuffs and so on and so forth. Next one. This is a weird change. I was told this was changed, but in game I can't actually see where it is. So Fury set still says damage increases as HP decreases, but it doesn't say how much. So I have no clue. So Fury, hopefully it's a lot better, but I guess we're going to see. I think before it was capped at like 25%. So hopefully we can see a pretty significant boost to that. Next set, that's from Fire Knight. So we have one Dragon set, a Fire Knight set there, and the next one is also another Fire Knight set. This is also one that I'm looking forward to. Unfortunate, it's still a 4-piece set, but it is 20% bonus heal before, which is kind of useless. Honestly, most people just sold their curing set. It was sometimes used on some champions, but in general, it was kind of useless. Now, the new version is going to be cool. 20% bonus heal, plus a bonus heal restores destroyed HP. This is cool. This could be used. I don't think it's going to be super popular because, I mean, it is a 4-piece set still, but it could definitely be used more than the 20% bonus heal did before. Next set is also another Fire Knight set. Fire Knight was already amazing. So I guess in a way you could say Fire Knight was buffed, but I don't think the buffs to Fire Knight are nearly as significant as the buffs to Ice Golem. Frenzy. So before, it was 10% turn meter for every 5% HP lost. Now this is going to be interesting because I did a video talking about Tunisia soloing Spider stage 20 normal, as well as stage 25, I believe, with a Frenzy set. Now with this change, she's not going to be able to do that because now it's a plus 5% turn meter for each debuff received. Obviously, you're going to get debuffs from the Spider, but not nearly as much as you will losing HP, I don't think. So I'm pretty sure this is not going to work the same way as it did before for Tunisia. I do think, actually, I don't know. I guess now you could put it on more tanky champions. So Frenzy is gotten changed. I'm interested to see how this actually works because there are champions who I did solo content for, like Earlgrim, who used the Frenzy set, who used it relying on that turn meter boost when they're losing their HP. So I'm not for sure if I like this change. I'm not really sure if it's a buff or if it's a debuff, or not a debuff, a buff or a nerf. But I guess we'll see soon enough, right? And the next one, last but not least, is Affinity Breaker. This is farming the Doom Tower. This is from the Nether Spider, I believe. Before, it's a 30% crit damage boost plus a 20% chance to change weak hit into a critical hit. It wasn't used that often, okay? 20% is just way too low of a chance to change a weak hit into a critical hit, and it just really didn't make a ton of sense for most players. You could use it, but in general, it just really wasn't worth the RNG risk. Now, it's a plus 30% crit damage, so same as before, but a 50% chance to change weak hits to critical hits. Now, I'm gonna be honest, I still don't see this set being farmed. I could see the set being used, like I could see people trying to equip it on some champions, but I don't have a whole lot of Affinity Breaker stuff. I have some pieces of it. I'm not gonna farm the Nether Spider now that this change is gonna be in the game relatively soon, but I could see people, if you're forging some pieces that are pretty good, now you can actually start making some sets on some champions who you really don't want weak hitting, whether it's Hydra, whatever it may be. Maybe you have a champion placing the provoke on a hit, and I can't think of anybody right off the top of my head, but maybe you want to make sure they actually get that hit through. So maybe that champion, or an HP burn champion, or any debuff champion you have who's not void affinity, maybe it makes sense to run them with Affinity Breaker if you can't fit any of the possibly more valuable sets on them. But to be honest, I think the gear set changes overall are very solid. I do think some sets like Life, Offense, especially being on Ice Golem, still make it a lot of useless sets there. But I guess all dungeons have some sets that are kind of useless depending on what point of the game you are. Ice Golem still probably one of the ones with the worst sets in general, but Retaliation, Reflex, Cursed, and Provoke, actually, that's 4 pretty solid sets. 4 pretty solid sets after the change. Fire Knight has Savage, which is amazing. Stun, Regeneration, Frenzy, maybe crit damage. Immunity was, I don't know, Fire Knight has got some really good gear. Dragon has, it has some good sets, but in-game farming is a lot different than early and mid-game stuff. Like Dragon's Lair, I don't know, accuracy and speed, perception's very similar, but now we got mythical stuff. So either way, that's a whole nother deep dive into that kind of stuff. Toxic, I do use that. I do use a lot of these sets, but I don't need to replace them anymore. Speed, I can always get better with. But as far as Toxic, I don't really need any more Toxic gear. I got plenty of it. My Clan Boss team is decked out. Reflex, the new Cursed, Provoke, possibly Retaliation are all sets that I would actually love to get some really good sets for. Retaliation, I'm really looking forward to that one, honestly, because there's a lot of champions who I use in Hydra who maybe before I was using Defiant on. Defiant's a good filler set as well, but like say Krisk, for example, maybe instead of 2 more pieces of Defiant, I just do a 2-piece set of Defiant, 2-piece Immortal, and 2-piece Retaliation. So now I got damage mitigation, some healing, as well as a chance to counterattack, plus any revenge accessories. Hey, I think it's looking pretty good. But guys, that's enough of the buffs to the gear sets. I'm looking forward to the changes. I think it's pretty solid changes, and I love seeing this kind of stuff from Plarium. So with that said, let me know what your thoughts are as far as the gear changes go. Definitely interested in hearing. Maybe I'm just too excited about this and overlooking something massive. Obviously, some of the gear sets could be changed, like I said, life, offense, defense, and crit rate. But overall, it's a very solid change. Resistance, it's kind of just, I don't know, it's kind of just out there. We got better options now, but they're paid for in the Forge Pass. So either way, guys, thank you all very much for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video. Like I said, let me know what you think down below, and I'll catch you all in the next one.